Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Huge election on Tuesday in Detroit. They'll be voting on a new mayor. One of the candidates, Mary Sheffield, City Council President, will be joining us today on Roland Martin Unfiltered to lay out her plans for the Motor City if she is elected mayor. In Texas, the battle over redistricting continues. Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries is in Austin, standing with Democrats there. We'll show you some of the comments that are also being made at a lot of the hearings, and folks have not been happy with Republicans who continue to lie, acting as if they had no maps drawn up, even though they dropped them the next day. Also, mental health crisis. It used to be that black children, black youth were far behind white teens when it came to suicide. That is no longer the case. We'll talk to an expert about that very issue. More stupidity from Donald Trump. Oh, let's cut SNAP benefits, Medicaid. But sure, let's build a new $200 ballroom on the White House grounds. Why not? Plus, on today's show, we will talk about more craziness in this country. Y'all been seeing all this talk about this beating in Cincinnati and that white MAGA, MAGA's been going crazy. There were some things that happened prior to that beating. I'll share that with you as well. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin.
Folks, y'all have heard me say numerous times, every election matters, especially local elections. Well, there's a big mayoral election taking place in Detroit on Tuesday. Lots of candidates running. One of the folks who's running is Mary Sheffield, council president. Of course, when you look at polling data, she's leading in the polls, but you know what? It all comes down to, fighting for every single vote. She's been on the city council since 2013. There are 8 other people in the race as well. Mary Sheffield joins us right now. Good to see you again. I saw you a few weeks ago when I was in Detroit, picking up an award from the NAACP there. So y'all, of course, y'all know backstage, I was messing with her because she was going over her speech. I was like, just speak off the cuff. Just don't even read the speech. All right, glad to have you here. Why do you want to be mayor of Detroit?
Well, thank you for having me, Roland. Always good to hear you, and I can't see you, but
it's all good. I'm here.
Okay,
we can see you.
All right.
We can see you. We're good.
All right. But I'm running for mayor because Detroit has so much potential, and we've made tremendous progress. I mean, everyone, not just in Detroit, but really around the country, has talked about and is seeing the resurgence of our city. But in the midst of that resurgence, there are still far too many neighborhoods. There's still far too many people who have not felt the growth and progress of our city. And as a lifelong Detroiter, someone who was born and raised in Detroit, I have a deep passion and love for our city. And I've served this city the last 12 years working to lay the foundation to help the city emerge from the largest municipal bankruptcy in the country. I feel that it is my obligation to ensure that the growth and the momentum and the resurgence continues in a way that's equitable and that is actually touching more people here in the city of Detroit. So
that's an important point because when we looked at a lot of the expansion that's taken place over the last 8 years, Mike Dugan has been the mayor. I've heard from people who say, hey, it's benefited developers, but not necessarily small businesses. And at the end of the day, if you don't have residents, I mean, you can have brand new buildings, brand new shiny things, but you still kind of need people in order for a city to grow and prosper.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And when we talk about actually taking Detroit to the next level and Detroit rising higher than what it is today, this next administration has to be focused on how do we actually get people to not just come and patronize our businesses, come to our downtown, but actually see themselves living in our city. And so my focus is going to always be how we build walkable, vibrant neighborhoods, how we creating a place where families once again can live in Detroit in order for us to grow our population and really take Detroit to the next level. Because as you mentioned, we can build buildings and invest in our downtown and midtown. But ultimately, if we want people to see themselves living here, raising their families here, growing our population, and attracting and retaining our young people, we have to go back to neighborhoods and housing and all of the social issues that I think are so important here in our city.
You are there in the Midwest, and the reality is when you look at the numbers, you're losing people. They're leaving Michigan, Wisconsin. They're leaving these states, Illinois, Missouri, and so a lot of that is driven by economics. And so, what is your plan to attract businesses to set up shop in Detroit that would supply the jobs for, obviously, for the longest, more than 100 years? It's been about the auto industry there in Detroit. But how do you look to diversify your economy there that will then attract people, attract homeowners?
Yeah, well, let me first say Detroit's population has recently seen an increase after decades of decline. We just celebrated maybe about a couple of months ago another population growth for 2 consecutive years. So we are starting to move in the right direction. We are not any longer losing population, we're gaining, but it's not at the speed I think that we all want to see. And so for me to continue to attract different industries to Detroit, we have to make sure that Detroit is a business-friendly city. What we oftentimes hear is that it's extremely difficult to open up a business or for industries to move to Detroit because of red tape, because of bureaucracy. And if you go to other cities, they don't have to experience that much difficulty getting into city government and opening up those industries and businesses in their cities. And so we're going to work on improving the culture of how business is done in Detroit. Secondly, in order for these industries to come here, we got to have talented workforce. We have to have people who can fill those positions with the skills and the knowledges that they need. And so we're going to have a heavy focus on workforce development to ensure that we have the pipeline that is prepared for the industries that will come to Detroit. And then lastly, we pay some of the highest property taxes in the country in Detroit. And oftentimes we have to continue to offer incentives and abatements for companies and industries to come to Detroit because the cost of development is extremely high. And so we're working on achieving structural property tax reform and then also offering as many incentives as possible, whether it's our land and also other tools to ensure that we're incentivizing those industries to come to Detroit.
You talk about those property taxes. Why are they so high?
Well, they've always been high. We have tons of millages over the years that have continued to add to that cost. And I think for decades and really quite some time in Detroit, we've always experienced extremely high taxes, and it's always been a burden for our residents. And so we've tried year after year to try to reduce it. The last 2 years, the mayor has launched an initiative changing some state laws that would allow for a reduction in property taxes. And we're working on that extremely hard because it's been a huge barrier. People have left for Southfield and the suburban communities because the cost of living is so high. Even our auto insurance is extremely high compared to other cities. And so these are structural issues that have been plaguing our city for generations that we have to work on to stop individuals and businesses from coming to Detroit.
Quality of life obviously is one of those things, but what goes into that also are schools. When businesses are looking to relocate, they're looking at transportation, they're looking at quality of life, they're looking at entertainment, they're looking also at schools as well. And so obviously that's not under your purview, but that also has to be a significant issue when you're talking about how do you attract people, how do you attract families who you want to be there for generations, not just transient where they come and go.
Most definitely, and we have a robust plan working with our school board and our superintendent. Right now, the number one issue facing our school system in Detroit is absenteeism. Our kids are not showing up to school, and oftentimes it's social determinants that are preventing our young people from showing up, whether it's transportation, parents or families have issue with childcare, and so the city can be a greater partner in that regard. We also have to ensure that we're exposing our young people to skilled trades and vocational training and exposing them to other alternatives outside a traditional four-year college degree. And so I plan on being a very active and hands-on mayor as it relates to education. While we may not control the school system, we can open up our rec centers, our libraries, use partner organizations and sites to ensure that there's robust after-school programming for our young people to get the additional educational support that they need. So we're going to be a great partner. While the mayor doesn't control, we don't need to control, but we can achieve a significant increase in the outcome of our young people as it relates to education.
All right, then. Well, that certainly sounds like a whole lot. I know you got to get back to campaigning. Early voting is taking place right now, right?
Yes, it is. It's happening right now, and Tuesday, August 5th is the election, and we are excited for Detroit to get out and show out. And so if anyone who is listening on your show today, if you know a Detroiter, call them, let them know to show up. let their voice be heard. But more importantly, if you don't early vote, please get out Tuesday, August the 5th for this very pivotal moment in our history and this very, very important election.
All right. Mary Sheffield, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Good luck.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, folks, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Democracy in the United States is under siege. On this list of bad actors, it's easy to point out the Donald Trumps, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, or even the United States Supreme Court as the primary villains. But as David Pepper, author, scholar, and former politician himself says, there's another factor that trumps them all and resides much closer to many of our homes. His book is Laboratories of Autocracy, a wake-up call from behind the lines.
So these state houses get hijacked by the far right, then they gerrymander, they suppress the opposition, and that allows them to legislate in a way that doesn't reflect the people of that state.
David Pepper joins us on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change,
Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayoral race, and this progressive wave that has sent such a shockwave through all of New York City and really the rest of the country. Jamal Bowman is going to help us understand what this mayoral election means and how we make sure that it translates across the nation.
Can you imagine national Democrats like identifying themselves as having flavor or riz or swag? Like, absolutely not, right? So hopefully the city does what it can in November to help resurrect this dying party and honestly just resurrect our democracy.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
This is Tamala Mann.
And this is David Mann. And you're watching Roland Martin
Unfiltered.
War in Texas trying to steal 5 congressional seats, decimating not only the Democrats' numbers, but black and brown representation. A lot of folks continue to speak out. First of all, today, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries was in Austin standing with Democrats. We'll show you some of that. But some of the people who have been attending these hearings and putting these Republicans on blast include Tarrant County Commissioner Alisa Simmons, who's been fighting redistricting even on the county level, where they're trying to wipe out a black member of the Commissioner's Court in order to put a Republican in. Here's what she had to say.
My name is Alisa Simmons. I'm the Tarrant County Commissioner that represents the precinct. I represent the precinct that you are currently meeting in. This is my precinct. Welcome to ground zero of redistricting. Tarrant County, Texas, home of the Tea Party and MAGA Republicans, MAGA Republican county judge, DA, sheriff, all of them. I am here to urge the members of the Texas legislature to say no to racism and the racially discriminatory redraw of congressional maps. What you've done is planned and calculated a racist attack on the fundamental voting rights of people of color. I should know. MAGA County Judge Tim O'Hare used a racist law firm and a racist map drawer to attack, pack, and crack African American and Hispanic neighborhoods here, just like you are trying to do to our congressional maps. With the mid-decade redistricting of Tarrant County Commissioners' precincts, the Republicans came for me and my seat just last month. On June 3rd, my constituents lost their representation due to intentional racial gerrymandered MAGA politics. And what happened when my colleagues voted to redistrict? When they voted to go after my precinct 2 seat? A damn lawsuit. So hopefully you all are prepared for that. They redrew our lines not because the population shifted, Not because our communities changed, but because they wanted to silence our voices. Like you, Texas legislative Republicans, my MAGA colleagues wanted more power than they already have. Tarrant County has been in existence since 1849 and has always been Republican-led. What more do you want? They didn't give a damn who they had to disenfranchise to do it. Is my time up?
Please complete. Yeah, I'll let you complete your sentence.
All right. That wasn't fair. That wasn't democratic. It was designed to rig the game before the whistle even blew. And now Texas Republican leadership is behind closed doors, haven't seen a map or a redistricting proposal from you guys doing the same thing. But we're here today to say no to racism and racially discriminatorily redrawing of congressional maps. Thank you all.
Members, any questions for this witness? Representative Emanuel is recognized to question the witness. Oh, Commissioner, we might, it's okay. Just remember, just stay at that microphone until we might have some questions for you. Representative Emanuel is recognized to question witness.
Yes, sir.
Had a quick question. I know you were saying that because of this, it's going to cause a lawsuit. Is your county right now flush with cash, or do you all have an oversurplus of cash? I'm asking for an intent, so I'm asking.
No, sir, we are not flush with
Okay,
cash.
so you're not. Second thing is, obviously you wouldn't know, but as of right now, since this will possibly be going to litigation, do you know how much the county is already having to spend to try to, affirm what they've already done to the seat with redistricting?
Yes, we have hired the racist, the firm that drew the racist map.
Mm-hmm.
We paid them to draw the racist map, $30,000, and now we've hired them to defend the damn racist map, and at $250,000.
Okay.
So that's just the beginning.
That's just the beginning.
Yes.
So we're already well above what, $300,000?
Yes, in less than a month.
Okay, and then how is that end up going to be paid back? I mean, I know the county's going to do it, but where is that?
Their money. These
So this is going
taxpayer
to come
dollars.
from taxpayers,
Yes.
who are already disenfranchised, as well as people who are not disenfranchised.
Correct.
So this is going to increase taxes in your county.
It probably will.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Turner, recognized question witness.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Simmons, thank you for being here, and thank you for your leadership for our county and for our precinct. You talked about the Tarrant County mid-decade redistricting, and I'd like you just to inform the committee how your Republican colleagues on the Commissioners Court went about achieving it. Just correct me if I'm wrong, but they took heavily minority neighborhoods from Precinct 2, which you were elected to represent, and packed them into Precinct 1, which is an existing majority minority commissioners precinct. Do I have that basically correct?
That's correct. So Precinct 2, as politicians you know, is a competitive district. Precinct 1 is decidedly Democratic. Precincts 3 and 4 are decidedly Republican. So, hey, if the Republicans run a good race, they maybe could have beat me, but they didn't. And so it's a competitive district, and so yes, my precinct, the CVAP voting age population was 48.9% black and brown. And with redistricting, it's now 38% black and brown. So they've decimated precinct 2.
Okay. So basically, when they do these racial gerrymanders, like we're about to see in this congressional map, there's basically two ways to do it, right? You can crack a minority community and thereby dilute votes across several districts, and or pack minority voters into as little geography as possible. But the net effect is the same, reducing the overall representation that minority voters have in their ability to elect the candidates of their choice.
That's correct. So they took, for example, the Tarrant County portion of Grand Prairie, which was in Precinct 2, and votes decidedly Democratic. That's your district.
Yes.
And took it right around Arlington and placed it in precinct 1. So, you know, they cracked precinct 2 very well and put them into precinct 1.
Thank you for walking us through that. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Now, folks, yesterday at another hearing, Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes, senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church, he also spoke to the room. Check this out.
Give us your testimony, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Frederick Douglass Haynes, and that name has been used earlier. I want to commend you because there are 2 governing principles that have informed how you have presided today. Number 1, you said that we are going to follow the rules. Number 2, you also mentioned that every American deserves to be heard. It is my prayer that that would govern how we respond to the wannabe kings the wannabe king from Washington, D.C., dictating that we redistrict at this inopportune time already districts that have been well gerrymandered. And so I'm asking, number 1, that we follow the rules of justice. Justice, according to Michael Eric Dyson, is what love sounds like when it speaks in public. Justice means that all of us, your number 2 principle, deserve to have our voices heard. With this particular dictate coming down from Washington, D.C., our voices will not be heard. I'm asking, Mr. Chair, that indeed this committee reject what's coming from Washington, D.C., and ensure that our voices are heard, and not only that our voices are heard, but that we follow the rules of justice. I basically say with what has been said before, most, if not all, on this committee have some kind of religious affiliation. According to my understanding of Christianity and most religions, there is a belief in justice. If there is a belief in justice, it especially is concerned with ensuring that the voiceless have a voice. Please do not rob the voiceless of a voice with a racist redistricting that follows the dictates of someone who wants to be the king and not the president of the United States of America. In a few months, many of us are going to celebrate what happened 70 years ago when Rosa Parks decided that she would stand for justice by not giving up her seat. I've always wondered about all the other folk on the bus that December 1st day. What did they do? Rosa Parks, we agree, was on the right side of history because she took a stand for what was right and just. The others were on the wrong side of history because they did not take a stand at all, or they went along with what was wrong. I'm asking you this day, please stand with Rosa Parks in that spirit, meaning that history will record that you were on the right side of history because you stood for justice. You were on the right side of history because you followed the rules of justice. You were on the right side of history because you made sure that everybody in Texas has a voice, and not just voices of those who look like the occupant of the White House. I am begging you, please stand on the right side of history as opposed to the wrong side of history, which will hurt all of us and is against everything that is moral and everything that is just. Thank you for your time.
So, folks, I was sent this video of Samuel Garcia, fellow Texas A&M Aggie, and I just love what he had to say. So we're going to play this last one before we go to Commissioner Simmons. So y'all check this here out.
Microphone, we'll get to you in just a moment. All right, Chair calls Samuel Garcia. Shall you register to testify on behalf of yourself on the revised congressional redistricting plan? Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
Please give us your testimony.
I drove here 3 hours to get here. I came from Abilene, Texas. And if I'm willing to drive 3 hours to come here and talk, I'm gonna ask you to get off your phone and listen to what I have to say. Whenever I found out, when you address somebody from the state legislature, you're supposed to call them the honorable this or the honorable that. Well, the word honorable means that you bring honor. And when you're elected, you're given that title. You should earn that title. Being honorable means that you do the right thing. Being honorable means that you will look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, why am I doing this? You got a call from Donald Trump. He told you to go find 5 seats. No, he got asked, how many seats? He said 5. He was asked on the news. You say, we don't have any maps. Well, how in the hell does Donald Trump know he's going to get 5 seats? I bet you anything there's maps that are there. Those maps are there, and they're sitting on his desk, and he's waiting for you to do it. This is ridiculous. A man a few days ago was arrested because he spoke too long at the lecture. He spoke too long, and y'all said, oh, he had to be arrested because he broke the rules. How many of you are going to get arrested for breaking the rules of mistreating the citizens of this state? You're breaking the rules. We are the citizens of this nation. We're the ones, it's supposed to be bottom up, not top down. I'm going to say this one thing to you. You know it's wrong. In your heart, you know it's wrong. And here's what I'm going to ask you. When your kids or your grandkids ask you one day, as a state representative, did you always do the right thing? You got 2 answers that you can choose from. You're either going to have to admit to them that, no, sometimes I did things just for power. Sometimes I did that. Or you're going to have to lie to your kids and lie to your grandkids and tell them you did it because you believed it, because you know this is wrong. This is wrong. I grew up.
Please complete your testimony.
I'm an Aggie, and I bleed Aggie maroon. In Aggies, we say, Aggies, we don't lie, cheat, or steal, and we don't tolerate those who do. But the other thing is, soy mexicano. And my mother would look at you today, and say, sin vergüenza.
Members, any questions for this witness?
Joining us now, Tarrant County Commissioner Alisa Simmons. Glad to have you here. I mean, lots of passion here. And what Garcia there, he summed it up. This is about power. This is about raw, naked power. It's pure and simple. And that's what, as you laid out, these racist Republicans are doing in Texas, in Tarrant County, in Galveston County, in Austin, Texas.
And at Fort Bend County, Texas now. Same process. These Republicans want to destroy the voting strength of black voters and other minority voters. They want to illegally throw the racial and political makeup of this county and this commissioner's court out of balance. Same thing they're doing with the congressional maps. It is obvious racism. What I want people to stop doing is calling it a power grab. These guys have the power. This is racism, pure and simple. They've got the power. They want absolute dominion. They want dominion. So this is racist, and we need to continue to say that, call it what it is, call a thing a thing.
Well, and the thing that I keep, when I wrote my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, I laid all this out. I said, guys, this is what they are doing. This is what they're preparing to do. It's as simple as that. And so many people, I looked at so many people who sat the election out last year. I don't like this about Kamala or this. Trump is not that bad. And now they're sitting here going like, oh, my God, they're doing it. But they said they were going to do it.
I knew it when I took office
2 years, 7 months ago. The consultants called. I won November 8th, November 9th. They called and said, can you jump on a Zoom? They are going to redistrict this seat because the sister before me, she served one term. We served 4-year terms. She served one term. She was black. She won by 4,000 votes. I won by 4,000 votes. Where I sit is, like I said at the testimony, is a competitive district. And so the Republicans knew it was going to turn. It was going to be more. It would become more easy for Democrats to win. And so they're like, we're about to put a stop to this. And they want, the county judge will tell you, if he could, he'd want 4 Republicans on the commissioner's court. What's important about that is it's taking away your representatives.
Right.
I mean, you're removing me from this would remove me from the court. It will be nearly impossible with the new map that passed. It passed here. We have been redistricted, reapportioned. It will be nearly impossible for me to win. And that is a result of people not voting. We have got to get these folks to the polls. Period, point blank.
Yeah, I keep saying they are taking advantage. 61% of Texas is minority. Yet 61% of the people who vote are white.
And let me tell you this. For years, I get the Tarrant County Republican monthly newsletter. Those people are organized. It's not rocket science. They are canvassing now for the Republicans in Tarrant County are block walking, knocking on doors now. What we do as Democrats, election's over, we need to take a break. We need to take a rest. And so we can go to those hearings, give great remarks and speeches and all that. Same thing that happened with this commissioner's court. I had a ton of people show up at commissioner's court. 2 overflow rooms. It doesn't matter. They've got the votes on commissioner's court. They've got 3 votes. The Texas House has the votes to redistrict. So what are we going to do? Keep giving speeches? We've got to do better. Subscribe to the Tarrant County Republican newsletter and do what they do. It's not rocket science. We just got to be consistent, block walking, communicating, educating, and have short, succinct messages and be tough, talk shit, and get out here. We should be campaigning right now. Right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been making that point. I can't tell you how many times I say, yo, you can't wait. I spoke today on the panel of the U.S. Black Chamber, Inc., and I laid out to the people. I said, you have to be starting far earlier, a year earlier. You got to be teaching people. There has to be town halls. I said, we got to go back where we had freedom schools in the civil rights movement. You got to have freedom schools teaching people about public policy. I saw this one, I was on social media, this one guy, this was about 3 days ago, he was like, Democrat National Committee, where are y'all? Y'all should be Texas fighting. I'm like, no, fool. I'm like, you should be fighting, but you should be mobilizing and organizing, because the problem with Texas is unorganized. And Republicans have been able to win all across the state, statewide offices. And here's the deal. Your county is the last large major county in Texas that Republicans control. That's why they're scared to death. They lost Harris County. That's why Governor Abbott hates Harris County. They lost Dallas County. They've lost Travis County. The governor is such an ass. With this new map, they literally put the governor's mansion in a red district, so it's not in a Democrat congressional district.
They're silly when they draw these maps. Silly. Listen, I'm telling you how silly they are. So precinct 2, my precinct, is home to Globe Life Stadium, home of the Texas Rangers, AT&T Stadium, home to the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Live Entertainment Complex. The lines they drew, Roland, they gave the stadiums to a Republican precinct or commissioner, but not the goddamn parking lots. So the parking lots are still mine. Make it make sense.
Wait. They drew the maps. So the parking lots of the stadium are in your district, but the stadium itself is not.
You heard me. Yes. And so I guess that's, I've driven, I might go meet people for lunch at Texas Live, and they have a jacked up parking lot. And I told my road and bridge director, I said, hey, let's use some discretionary funds. And I know the Rangers don't need county dollars, but I want that parking lot fixed. So we can use some discretionary funds and help them repair that parking lot. And so I guess they want me to use my discretionary funds to repair parking lot. Make it make sense. The way they drew these lines. And you're from this area, a lot of your listeners aren't, so this won't mean much to them. But Grand Prairie, Texas, the Tarrant County portion, is precinct 2, and it votes decidedly Democratic. They have moved Grand Prairie, Texas, round past Arlington, and put it into precinct 1. So precinct 1, Democratic, always going to be.
Did Commissioner freeze there? I think she froze. Let's see if we can get her. Let's see if we can get her back there. We lost a signal right there. The thing that we're seeing, folks. I mean, we literally are seeing some absolutely shameful behavior that's coming in Texas. But again, we warned people about this. And when the commissioner talks about how you have to mobilize and organize, how you have to get folk focused. Again, that's how you defeat this. Y'all, this ain't rocket science. It's really not. And so you can be mad and pissed off. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to go to a break. We come back. I'm going to bring my panel up. Hopefully we can get the commissioner back. But also, some Democratic governors are saying, okay, FAFO, let's go. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the Gap and Getting Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Democracy in the United States is under siege. On this list of bad actors, it's easy to point out the Donald Trumps, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, or even the United States Supreme Court as the primary villains. But as David Pepper, author, scholar, and former politician himself says, there's another factor that trumps them all and resides much closer to many of our homes. His book is Laboratories of Autocracy, a wake-up call from behind the lines.
So these state houses get hijacked by the far right, then they gerrymander, they suppress the opposition, and that allows them to legislate in a way that doesn't reflect the people of that state.
David Pepper joins us on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
How you doing? My name is Mark Curry, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We doing an interview, motherfucker.
All right, folks. Commissioner Simmons is still with us. I'm going to bring in my panel as well, joining us right here on the show, talking about the craziness that's happening in Texas. And again, we're seeing these things unfolding all across the country because Republicans want to do this everywhere because they are afraid they're going to be losing the House next year. All right, joining us with her hostage video, Dr. Nola Haynes, Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University, D.C. Michael Brown, former chair, DNC Finance Committee, D.C. as well. Let's get right into it now. If you want to understand how these folks think, how these folks operate, what's on their minds, all you have to do is just look at in terms of how they go about their business. The other day we showed y'all some of that in terms of these Republicans, in terms of just how they move. So here's a perfect example. So Jimmy Patronis out of Florida put out this statement here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try to pull it up. He goes, I support a renewed redistricting effort for Florida. If Texas can do it, the free state of Florida can do it 10 times better. Also, y'all, fair districts is unconstitutional because it violates freedom of speech, and elections are a state's rights issue. The more power to the states, the better. Okay, here's the problem with that, y'all. The folks in Florida literally put that right there, the fair districts, in the state constitution. So it's a little hard to run around that. Now, the governor of California, so this is his response to this headline in the Texas Tribune. Newsom will move to redraw California maps if Texas redistricts tee up national fight. He goes, FAFO. And he's absolutely right. You've got Kathy Hochul. Give me 1 second. I saw this earlier. I was at the U.S. Black Chamber Inc., and I was checking this out. Kathy Hochul, she is the governor of New York, and she is now weighing in on this very issue, making it clear that, she will move to take some action when it comes to gerrymandering as well. And the thing here, Mike, I'm going to start with you. It's real simple. Okay, Republicans, y'all want to start this fight? Go ahead. But the most populous states in the country are blue. So let's do the map. California. I saw one analysis where they said they could literally flip the map in California to 52-0 based upon districts Kamala Harris won. So you got California, you got Ohio, you got Maryland, you got Illinois, you got Virginia. Hey, my whole deal is you tell Dems, go for broke. Change the whole damn thing. And when they start crying, you say, okay, let's do a national gerrymander ban. Oh, y'all Republicans, y'all voted against that in Congress, Michael.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me, Roland. And I certainly hope that those three governors that you mentioned start putting the pieces together, start talking to the particular state representatives that they can count on, and start putting these, drawing their own maps. Be prepared if Texas pulls the trigger and does it and executes, you're ready to do the same. Now, the only question is, if Texas does not pull the trigger, should the states you just mentioned do it anyway?
Oh, hold on. First of all, that Michael, that ain't even a question. Right. Texas is going to do it. I mean, that ain't even. You can't say the horse left the barn, the ship has left the port. Bottom line is, they are prioritizing redrawing districts over focusing on flooding that killed almost 200 people. That right there tells you exactly what the focus of Governor Greg Abbott is.
Yes. So if that's the issue you're referring to, then absolutely those particular blue governors and the blue state representative bodies should absolutely get ready, be prepared. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Simmons, you see right here, this is Governor Kathy Hochul of New York State. I won't sit by while Donald Trump and Texas Republicans try to steal our nation's future. And I think what she should say is, okay, y'all flip 5, I'm a flip 5. And Newsom should say, I'm a flip 10. And again, Maryland, Illinois, Virginia, if I'm Democrats, I say, yo, let's pick up 20, 25 seats.
Exactly. What we being so nice for? What is what? You're exactly right. Abbott, this is happening in the Texas House. Period, point blank. They got the votes. They jacked around and had some check the box, play, public hearings. Didn't have a map to show the people or a redistricting proposal. This is a foregone conclusion. And we don't have the votes in the Texas legislature to do anything about it. So it is incumbent upon those other governors to take action. No need to wait. There's no need to wait.
The thing here, Greg, is you are facing evil. You're facing an individual and a party that is corrupt to their core. Republicans today in Congress voted down an amendment that would have kept the United States from giving Trump this refurbished $1 billion with this jet from Qatar. Okay, so they are sanctioning corruption. So let's just be real clear. I don't want to hear another one of these bullshit speeches from Senator Cory Booker or any House member. My dear friend, I know your heart. I know you're a person of decency. I don't want to hear the honorable so-and-so. These people are not honorable. They're not decent. They're not fair. They're not moral. And when you're facing someone like that, you treat them accordingly.
You do. You do. Unless you don't. And our dear brother Cory Booker is speaking a language they don't understand. And anyone who would say, well, you have to, when they go low, we go high, with all due respect to our former First Lady, Michelle Obama, and anyone else who thinks that way, you're not a student of American history. I simply have to get back in the trenches because I don't want to see another Black Table commercial for one that we already did, although David Pepper is a very important person in this question of redistricting. But one of the first people we're going to schedule to talk to is the author of this brand new biography of Charles Sumner, a remarkable senator. So, Senator Booker, I would really strongly advise you, brother, to read the biography of Charles Sumner, read what he wrote, and read the new book. The book ends with Charles Sumner on his deathbed imploring the United States Senate to pass what became the Civil Rights Act of 1875, which was ultimately overturned by the Supreme Court and sabotaged by the House of Representatives. But I bring it up for this reason. Charles Sumner, who, if people know him at all, they probably know from when Preston Brooks of South Carolina beat him within an inch of his life on the floor of the United States Senate. Charles Sumner had no compromise. He is the major architect of Reconstruction legislation. We're talking about not only the Civil Rights Act of 1866, but the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Charles Sumner is a very important figure. Why do I bring up Charles Sumner at this juncture? I am not alarmed. I'm excited. Because this is the thing about these hillbillies and white supremacy. What you see is that corruption and overreach in the history of the United States walk hand in hand. The 1850s, the 1860s, leading up to the Civil War, you see some of the most corrupt, some of the nastiest pieces of work in terms of open white supremacists in the history of this country at work. And if you're going to beat them, you have to simply decide you're going to break their political backs. Charles Sumner understood that. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, where they could just put their hands on you and say you have no rights, and next thing you know, you're working on a damn plantation in Louisiana like Solomon Norfolk, which is, of course, the evening that we met the first time, 12 years a slave. Well, guess what? What the hell do you think ISIS is? I'm sorry, they call it ICE, but it's ISIS. They put their hands on you, and the hillbilly in charge of it says we can stop people based on how they look. It is an echo of that time. So at this moment, What we are seeing is the same type of escalation in a different age of what preceded the Civil War. When South Carolina decided they would rather leave than obey the Constitution, well, guess what? Governor Abbott, my friend, I applaud you, my friend, because what you're going to understand, you hillbilly, is that when you break it this time, nobody's going to put on a uniform and save it. When Gavin Newsom said, as he has said today, that perhaps we'll have a special election on November the 4th and put to the ballot the question of redistricting. And Kathy Hochul is no flaming liberal. She's a centrist Democrat, is going to follow suit. J.B. Pritzker in Illinois follows suit. Guess what? The cold Civil War is now moving to the hot phase. And finally, this hillbilly in Florida that you quoted, talking about the First Amendment, taking his cues from John Roberts, because that's absolutely John Roberts' gospel, and talking about states' rights. Well, guess what? That works both ways. If you're not going to give disaster relief to Republican districts in Maryland because Wes Moore is the governor, well, guess what? You're going to stop paying taxes. And once them hillbillies start screaming bloody murder in Mississippi and Louisiana and Texas and South Carolina, well, guess what? Those of us who are caught up in it, maybe we'll feel enough pain to get involved in the political process and vote enough people into the federal legislature so that the Freedom to Vote Act will pass, and maybe we won't. But I'll tell you right now, I'm excited because it's going to always have to come down to this. You don't break white supremacy with kind words. You break its back with power.
No, this is not a moment for folk to be scared. This is a moment, literally, where it requires fighters. I remember seeing Reverend Willie Wilson was preaching in Dallas, and he talked about there was a church break-in, and some thugs stole the equipment in the church. They stole the musical instruments and all kind of stuff like that. And so they went to the pulpit. He went to the pulpit that Sunday, and he said, I need y'all to put the word out on the street in D.C. We looking for our stuff. He said, but I don't need y'all simple Christians. He said, I need some of my former thug Christians to roll with me to go get our equipment. And then they found out where the equipment was and rolled up on the place and got the equipment and got some other stuff from there as well. See, this ain't a moment for the weak, the meek, the quiet, the nice. No. This is where you need some Democratic gangsters who said, I'm going to take y'all out one by one. I'm going to make y'all feel, and every time J.D. Vance tweets, oh my God, this is unfair, then they say, take another seat. Then when they start complaining again, take another seat. And that's what you do. That's how you make them pay.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't sure where you were going with that at first. I wasn't sure.
Well, that's why I know where I'm going. If you just listen, you'll know where I'm going.
The man you saying to listen, I haven't gotten 6 words out before you didn't.
Because I just talked. Well, if you ain't know where I was going, that's why I explained it where I was going. You need some gangsters. When you in a fight, you don't bring folk who believe in diplomacy. You bring folk who ready to swing. Now you understand what I'm saying?
Let me finish my thought. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As a person who's literally just finished a book chapter today arguing for the coexistence of diplomacy and deterrence, I do believe that we definitely need to be stronger and strategically stronger. If we have the option to do a thing, we should do that thing. If California, if New York, if Chicago can actually, implement the same sort of strategy that they did in Texas, I say we go for it. I think this hemming and hawing, and which I understand from the perspective of you're trying to figure out, if I make this move, is the person in office, 2-3 years down the line, will they do it and use it against? It's all these things that go into this type of thinking. That's what we don't have the luxury of. We don't have the luxury of the hemming and the hawing. We don't have the luxury of kind of thinking through when we are already here. We're not having this conversation proactively. we are here, and the people need to rally around something. They need to believe in someone, and they need to be inspired. And right now they are still searching for it. So I say, if this is an option, we should definitely pull the trigger on that and exercise that option.
And Commissioner Simmons, who they are literally using taxpayer money, as you said, to pay this racist organization. Folks should be raising holy hell, and every time that little mascot county judge of yours starts whining and complaining, they should sit here and say, all right, we're going to boycott your house.
Hey, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'm not gonna on this.
You ain't got You ain't got to say it. I said it. If y'all in Tarrant County, hey, laws are allowed. Protest at his house. That's right. Start at 6 a.m. Wake his ass up. See, these people. They are trying to lock in power for the next 50 to 100 years. They do not want to see black advancement, brown advancement. They are they are white nationalists.
Because let me tell you what Alisa Simmons is going to pull up and stop doing. Is going to these rallies, public hearings, all this stuff about redistricting. I had a 7-hour commissioners court meeting, and so grateful that all of the white allies, the African American groups, the D9, the Hispanic organizations, so glad that we had 500-600 people show up. And I had a redistricting public hearing in my precinct that lasted 5 hours. I went to the redistricting deal, the congressional, the state thing, Monday night. That was 5 or 6 hours long. If we don't stop talking, see, Alisa Simmons is not going to Austin. If one more person asks me to go to another rally in Austin, I get it. People want elected officials to speak and do the rah-rah thing.
Yep.
What are we talking about? If all those bus loads of people going to Austin for something coming, I'm not going. If they were mobilized, hitting these doors,
yep,
talking to people, they go into Austin to do what? Go beg, talk, try. You are not convincing these racist clowns to change not one vote. Not one vote will change. But all of this, my sorority group, I'm just looking at all these, who's going to Austin, this bus got this. I'm like, Lord, what are we doing? At the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, the Tarrant County map, the state of Texas congressional maps are an expression of intentional racial discrimination designed to silence our voices, designed to eliminate our representatives I was elected by the people. And I told you it was a competitive district, not just by Democrats, not just by black. You can't win in my precinct by black and brown people voting for you or just Democrats. And so these maps have taken away, essentially, I'm faithful, I believe in God, but has diluted the voting strength of minorities to elect their candidate of choice. So precinct 1 now in Tarrant County becomes almost 80 something percent, almost 90% Democrat. That's great. We will have one representative on the commissioner's court.
Yep. So you're absolutely right. If you're going to expend time, energy, and money, then you spend it where it is wise, where you have a greater return on investment, and that's hitting door to door, precincts, canvassing. That's what you have to do, because you have to beat these people. And here's the whole deal, okay? A lot of these House seats the Republicans control in Texas, there are a number that they can be beaten in.
Yes.
If folk actually vote. That's just what it boils down to.
Tarrant County is 50-50. I mean, it's right there. And in Tarrant County, we have, according to the Tarrant County Democratic Party, we have more registered Democrats in Tarrant County. We got to pull them out of their homes into the polls.
Yep, there you go. Commissioner Simmons, we appreciate it. Keep up the good fight.
Thank you, sir.
Folks, got to go to a break. We come back. Vice President Kamala Harris drops a new video. She's got a book out. We'll talk about that. Also, what's the latest stupidity coming out of the White House? Take your pick. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join the Bring the Fuck fan club. Your dollars make it possible to continue to do the work that we do. You want to contribute via Cash App? Here's a QR code right here. Click the get the Cash App pay button to contribute. You can use this for credit cards as well. You want to see checking money orders, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Democracy in the United States is under siege. On this list of bad actors, it's easy to point out the Donald Trumps, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, or even the United States Supreme Court as the primary villains. But as David Pepper, author, scholar, and former politician himself says, there's another factor that trumps them all and resides much closer to many of our homes. His book is Laboratories of Autocracy, a wake-up call from behind the lines.
So these state houses get hijacked by the far right. Then they gerrymander, they suppress the opposition, and that allows them to legislate in a way that doesn't reflect the people of that state.
David Pepper joins us on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change.
Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayoral race, and this progressive wave that has sent such a shockwave through all of New York City and really the rest of the country. Jamal Bowman is going to help us understand what this mayoral election means and how we make sure that it translates across the nation.
Can you imagine national Democrats like identifying themselves as having flavor or riz or swag? Like, absolutely not, right? So hopefully the city does what it can in November to help resurrect this dying party and honestly just resurrect our democracy.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC. Sitting here representing the JODECI, that's Jodeci. Right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, y'all. Trump's an idiot. Okay, next story. All right, just messing with you. Folks, we know that to be true. The twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief, Donald Trump, escalating trade tensions once again, with a fresh wave of tariffs set to hit dozens of countries at 12:01 a.m. on Friday. But now he's saying, okay, no, Mexico, I'm not going to do it. Okay, another country going to do it. I love this here. Hey, South Korea, they're going to spend almost $500 billion with us. So South Korea is going to spend a quarter of their GDP. Dude, stop lying. He threw out Japan. Oh, they're going to give us $500 billion, and we're going to make lots of money. Japan's like, no, we're not. No, we're not. I mean, we literally have an idiot who is engaged here. He thinks that he should get a Nobel Peace Prize. He is so jealous of Obama. And so now they're like, oh, Donald Trump, look at all the wars that he stopped. That's also sheer stupidity. Now we have the idiot announcing, oh, we're going to build a $200 million ballroom at the White House because that's what we need. And so he's personally overseeing the construction of this new ballroom. Okay, y'all, like seriously. Now, we have existing facilities in the White House, but he's like, no. We need a new ballroom. And so you know what's going to happen. It's going to be gold shit everywhere. I mean, you know it's going to be one of the ugliest damn rooms you ever seen. And so what he's doing is he's literally trying to turn the White House into that piece of crap place where he is at Mar-a-Lago. So this is a rendering that they posted that we should do. So we got that, and then he's going to get the $1 billion jet. So that federal government, see, I love this here. The federal government is going to pay more than $1 billion to upgrade the jet from Qatari government, and then Republicans are going to vote to go ahead and just give it to him when he leaves office. Now, he's already enriched himself by upwards of $800 million as well. And so what we really have here, Nola, is an undeniable grift. They have decided, you know what? We didn't really rape and pillage America enough the first time. Let's really do it now. They're like the Vikings of old. Let's just rape and pillage everything.
Mm-hmm. And that signals to me that he has no intention on coming out, honey, anytime soon, that presidency is going to turn into, what is it called? Primogeniture. It's going to turn into a monarchy. You are just spending and spending on the backs of Americans, on the backs of 300,000 plus Black women who are out there looking for full-time employment, myself included. You are doing it on the backs of other federal workers who you just completely displaced. You were doing it on the backs of folks who lost their Medicaid, on the backs of folks who are going to have to pay more as a result of these tariffs. So you are doing all this on the backs of Americans as if you are the grossest, and I mean the grossest example, mythological creature of a king that, you know, we could ever encounter in our nightmares. You know, this is really, none of this is typical. None of this is usual. We're used to that. And I think my question is, it's a legal question, because I do believe he's coming out one way or the other. He is coming out. I do not think it's going to be some, you know, Trump version of a monarchy. But my question is legal. All this stuff that they are doing in broad daylight, is somebody keeping score? I mean, I know last time Rachel Maddow had that wall of all his crimes, but I'm dead serious. With solicitors general's offices being pretty much dismantled, civil rights across all the agencies being dismantled, who is keeping score of all these crimes?
When you have got media kissing your ass and sucking up to you, that's kind of hard. Michael, I love this here. I do. And let me just be real clear, y'all. I have no problem putting this on the table. You know, we often say, no, I don't want to see people harmed. I don't want to see people lose their homes. I don't want to see people lose their way of life. I don't want to see any of those things. I do. If you voted for Trump and you're now complaining about ICE deporting people, I don't mind if you go bankrupt. I don't, because you supported this. See, I remember reading in history, and I believe this was a huge mistake by Lincoln in the North, allowing the racist plantation owners to reassert an oath to the United States to get their property back. No, you don't get it back. So take this fool in Alabama, okay?
Nope.
This fool may go bankrupt because of the workers, but he says, I still stand with Trump. I hope he loses everything. Watch this.
Huge job for the community. Well, the community's going to miss out if we can't get it finished.
Superintendent Robbie Robertson, who chose to conceal his face, told Reuters that it was a recent ICE raid on a job site in Florida, more than 200 miles away, that spooked his staff.
I know that we have lost a lot of our workers because of their hearing about these raids. We have got some of them back, but we're now about half capacity, which basically hurts our work production.
Immigration raids on building sites, part of an expanding crackdown by President Donald Trump on work sites across the country, are causing major disruptions to the construction industry, according to Reuters interviews. Robertson said his company faces a $4,000 penalty for every day it runs past its November 1st deadline, already a potential cost of $84,000.
And those raids happen a good bit away from here. There's a lot of closer jobs than this one, so I know they're all being affected as well.
About 1.4 million of the roughly 11 million people in the U.S. illegally work in construction, more than any other industry. That's according to the Migration Policy Institute, a nonpartisan think tank. And construction industry leaders say those workers are hard to replace with native-born Americans because most don't have the skills.
They're willing to do it. The Hispanic descent, they basically are stepping up and will do some of the hard work. But I am a Trump supporter, like I said, and I do think there is a way to go about doing this, but I just don't think the raids is the answer.
Oh, really? Michael, I hope Robbie goes bankrupt.
And Robbie, who clearly is not showing his face or his identity, well, I guess we know his name, Robbie. White supremacy is more important to him and others like him, or that think like him, is more important than their own self-preservation. And that's hard to compete with when Democrats are talking about, when we are talking about messaging of policy, democracy. None of that matters if white supremacy is your top priority. And so as people of color and black people and brown folks continue to rise both economically, politically, political power, that's a problem. And so if my farm or company or business or I lose my home, but that's okay because we have a president that supports white supremacy. That's what I care about the most for a lot of people. Not all white folks, obviously, but many.
And then, of course, you have the blackface MAGA, who I call the help. Folks like so-called pastor, who we've never heard of, so-called best-selling author of a book we've never heard of. But because MAGA promotes him, now all of a sudden, Vince Ellis gets some airtime. So listen to this fool speaking at the Racist Turning Point USA conference.
And we're going to continue to do these great things. And for these people that want to complain, that want to set back, who want to cry, who want to talk about how hard it is, I'll tell you what we'll do for you. You want to talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Yeah, you do need DEI because you're inferior. Yeah, you need it. I don't need it. You walk into my world with a DEI stamp on your chest, and I'm going to slit your throat. I want to see you come, telling me you didn't earn it. I want to see you come into my world talking about I need respite and I need a handout. Yeah, I'm going to be smiling at you, boy.
Take it away, Greg.
I love it. My man. What you say his name? William Hannibal Thomas? Is that who that is? It was a remarkable Uncle Tom from the late 19th, early 20s. I love it. I love it. See, when you see what is Lauren Victoria Burke call these Negroes a consensual. When you see a consensual manservant like that, he's got that Byron Donalds energy. He claims he wants to smoke till the smoke starts. That'll be the first Negro to run up behind his master and say, yeah. So I love it. I love that talk. And Dr. Haynes, it's plenty score being kept. The Supreme Court justices have to go to different circuits. They all get assigned circuits. I think Ketanji Onyeka Brown Jackson has the First Circuit, if memory serves me correctly. Brett Kavanaugh has the Eighth Circuit. He spent a little over an hour yesterday or today trying to defend the rocket docket, the shadow docket, and this chicanery they're engaged in at the Supreme Court. And he said in the course of his remarks that he reads all the blogs and listens to social media and all that. He has to stay aware of it. He's aware of all the criticism. Dear Kavanaugh knows what's coming. And so, even as the courts now and the Federal Court of Appeals is hearing an appeal now on these ridiculous tariffs, realizing that the word tariff doesn't even appear in the legislation that King Trump or would-be King Trump is using. What's going to end up? There are two things going on. Roland, you put it perfectly, brother. First of all these deals, the world is laughing. You just, and by the way, Donald Trump, trying to defend your friend, the Trump of the tropics in Brazil, you probably just got Lula da Silva reelected in Brazil. Congratulations, you clown. The EU wrote some stuff on paper that ain't worth the paper it's printed on because, as Paul Krugman explained in the New Republic, the EU is not the government. So when they told you they're going to invest, $650 billion? No, fool, that ain't the governments of the EU. They ain't going to give you shit. but you, I got a deal. They're going to invest all this money. They played you. Paul Krugman walked through the whole thing. And finally, this is the thing that is hilarious about it. If you got a 15% tariff on cars coming from Europe, and there are a lot of cars that come from Europe and the United States, and you got like a 25% tariff on the Canadian automobiles, the stuff in the Canadian automobiles was made in Michigan and Minnesota, across the border, come back in. Guess who that's going to hurt? It's going to kill your voters in all those states, and it's going to be cheaper to buy a European car than the one that your people put the car seats in and the seat belts and the radios and send it over the border to come back. Meanwhile, the Mexicans are looking to make deals with the Canadians, who are looking to make deals with the Europeans. The Brazilians are looking to even up their trade with the Chinese. And they are building an economic system that is literally going to punch and collapse in the chest of the United States of America. I say march on, my friend, and take your manservant with you, because every stitch of clothes that fool got on his back was made somewhere outside the United States. Let's see him give that same speech butt-ass naked in about a year.
Meanwhile, inflation is still up, despite Trump's campaign promise to bring prices down. Well, the 6 months into his second term, the relief hasn't shown up yet. This idiot, who seems utterly clueless about everyday life, he just insists prices are way down for everything.
You know, if you think inflation, I've already taken care of. Prices are way down for everything, groceries, everything.
In fact, that was a conversation on Fox News, and the help, Harris Faulkner, who claims to be a news anchor, who's really nothing more than a MAGA-loving Trump anchor, got bodied on her own show using a Fox News poll. Watch this.
Who do you think this really does come down to, having to impress the American people right now? Is your party, Mike, you guys are not all moving in concert with one another?
No, I mean, we lost the last election, so we're having a lot of tough conversations about how we build a new Democratic Party. That'll keep happening until we elevate a new candidate. What I'll tell you, though, is I think both political parties are completely out of touch with the day-to-day lives of most Americans. There's a lot of polling out in the last couple of weeks talking about how frustrated people are with inflation and pricing and housing and things like that.
Inflation's at 2%. The GDP
inflation's at 2.9%, actually, Harris. It's the
GDP just popped to 3%. I mean, we haven't seen that in a very long time.
If I could point you to Fox's own polling, Trump is negative 30% on pricing and the inflation. It's as unpopular as Joe Biden ever was. So the American people are pretty frustrated with where their lives are right now. There's a Navigator poll out just this morning or yesterday that has a lot of Americans saying they're worse off than they were 6 months ago.
I love that when you get fact checked. Okay, all right, we gotta move on. I don't know why you brought that shit up. Make me look real stupid. But yeah, we gotta move on. So I don't know why you had to sit here and embarrass me on my own network, make me look like a fool. But then again, Harris Faulkner is known for never ever doing any kind of fact checking whatsoever. She just goes on and spouts all sorts of nonsense. But what you're seeing, though, is you're seeing the reality of what's going on. And see, what's been happening is all these companies have been scared to death to raise prices, Michael, because they want to piss Trump off. Now they're like, okay, you know what? We can't keep getting our ass kicked. We just can't keep doing that. So you got Procter & Gamble announces, yeah, we're going to raise this here. How about this here? 2022, when Biden was president, the price of beef was $4.50. Now it's $6.12, a new record. Boy, how about that, Michael? Boy, those prices are really tumbling down. Is that what we call new math? That when it goes up, it's down?
No, that's Trump and the GOP's math. They just say whatever they want, whether it's true or not. They say it. Obviously, they get fact-checked on channels that they know their supporters don't watch. So when they say things on channels that their supporters do watch, they believe pretty much anything he says. So half the country knows the truth. The other half says, oh, he's working on it, it'll come down. Problem is he campaigned to fix all these issues. I think the term he used on day one, whether it's wars, the world is on fire, whether it's inflation, not doing what he thought it would do. Prices are going up. His tariff strategy is a disaster. So when these Republicans talk about promises made, promises kept, I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Well, and in fact, Richard Quest, of course, CNN business correspondent, he just sort of just laughed at all these trade announcements. Because see, what this fool does, Nola, is he just announces shit. He just announces it and just like it, and they like, hey, Trump said it. But even though it's a lie, check this out.
The deals. Let's talk about the deals. Right. So we've got the deal with the European Union, which somebody has already described as pie in the sky. They simply will not buy that amount of energy, and nor will they invest that amount of money. We have the deal with Japan, where nobody knows where the $650 billion worth of investment is going to come from. Nobody. The Japanese admit they don't know where it's going to come from. We've got the deal announced today with the South Koreans. What Donald Trump has brilliantly done, he wanted a headline number, and it's around 15%, but the underlying terms of trade deals are garbage.
So Richard, what deal would you have preferred?
How do you mean?
Well, what details of a deal would suffice for you?
Well, I would have liked them to have negotiated a proper long-term
What's proper?
deal.
Let's focus on the word proper.
Where the
What's
detail
proper
holds
to
up.
you?
Where the detail...
No, because you keep saying this, but you're giving no specificity whatsoever. I can sit here and name a whole bunch of random ridiculousness. That means absolutely nothing at all.
With respect, no, because they've actually announced a European deal where supposedly $600 billion...
So give specifics about what we would like to see.
So they can't see me.
Scott, give an alternative and give specifics for what would be a deal that would satisfy your critique.
A long-term trade relationship deal that doesn't rely on a fictitious amount of investment.
Okay.
The Japan deal.
I'm listening.
The Japan deal envisages $650 billion worth of investment. But nobody says by whom or how or the penalty against. It is literally making it up.
Look,
They're good at, Nola, making that shit up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They're good at it, and they have perfected how to be good at it. They say it confidently, and they overtalk you. They bully you, just like, what we just saw there. The expert was being questioned by someone who was just trying to deflect from what the guy was saying because it was landing and resonating with folks. But this issue about how they literally just say anything, and where media is right now, where corporate and mainstream media is right now, they're not going to push back. They're not going to ask any hard questions. And it was to shift that narrative because, everything was Epstein. I talked about this on my show Nightcap on Tuesday. I talked about this very intersection that this EU tariff deal is designed so you won't be thinking about Epstein, which is why everyone should still be thinking about Epstein. Even if there's no there, this is an issue that really, really bothers him, and it bothers his base. So, the fact that he's doing, I'm not shocked that he's lying. I'm not shocked that he's making up deals that have no teeth. I'm not shocked about any of it. But here we are. He has successfully changed the narrative because we are talking about it. And what we're not talking about is Epstein. Ta-da.
No. Actually, but he has to change the narrative because the right's not letting go of it. See, that's the whole point. He's trying to throw everything at it, and it's just all getting added onto it. But I do got to play this because I thought this was fabulous. Again, this is what happens, and I need people to understand. Have y'all ever seen the little shell game that the fraudsters play? Okay? A master of the shell game on CNN is Scott Jennings. That smug idiot from Kentucky, one of the brokest states in America that will be decimated by Medicaid cuts and SNAP benefits. But he doesn't care because he got a new contract to CNN. Even Abby Phillip just said, you know what? I'm sick of your bullshit. That's what she said, but she didn't. Watch this.
record high in the stock
come
market.
on, these trade deals are garbage.
It's actually much simpler.
Garbage?
Yes. Hold on a second. It's much simpler than this. Just one sec, because I think it's super important to understand. Scott, what was happening in April of this year, 2025? What was happening then? What did the president announce on that week, the first week of April? What did he announce?
The president was implementing
what did he announce,
his
Scott?
Tariff agenda.
And what were those tariff levels?
And well, they were different for different countries.
Okay, so
but every single person predicted calamity. Calamity.
Scott, you can't skip steps here.
And
what were those tariff levels?
They were different. He had a chart.
Not just different. They were 2 to 3 times higher than the current tariff levels. Did those tariffs go into place, Scott?
It's different for every country.
Scott,
it's different for every country.
It's a simple question. Did those tariffs go into place?
He has delayed some of the tariffs.
Yes or no?
He has delayed some of the tariffs, and he's made deals, and he's implemented others.
Did any of the tariff levels that Trump announced on that week, did they ever go into place?
Some tariffs have been implemented, some have been delayed, and some deals have been made.
The answer is they did not. They did
not.
Tariffs have been implemented.
Some tariffs have been implemented.
All of those quotes.
That's why we have all this money coming in.
We have them here.
Even you said it.
You're playing with numbers here.
We have them here.
No, back in April.
You guys are so mad. Why are you rooting for failure? Why does this table root for failure?
Please, because you are saying that you are taking a number of 40, 50, 60% back in April, and you're comparing it to a number of 10, 15% now.
Fine, but it's his strategy to negotiate and create leverage,
Scott,
and give us the situation we're in today.
Okay, Sir Michael, I will let you talk, but I just have to say, completely disingenuous to suggest.
I'm sorry. You were the one calling for a recession in April, not me.
Give me 1 second.
You called for it.
Give me 1 second. Please let me finish. It is completely disingenuous to suggest that what economists said would happen if Trump imposed 50 and 60%. Oh, let's jump all the way up to 135% level tariffs on this economy would have been a recession. Those levels never happened, which is why there has been no recession.
You sound disappointed.
It's not that complicated. Sure, Michael.
Let me explain what happens when you're a smug asshole like Scott Jennings. So this is the shell game. Trump threw out tariffs of 75, 100, 125%. Economists said, you do that, we're going to go into recession. Jerome Powell said, you do that, we're not cutting interest rates. What happened? Does everybody remember? See, what the Scotts of the world don't want to bring up, and that's why the other panelists should have done this, what happened to the stock market when he threw those announcements out? What happened to the bond market? And that's when Jamie Dimon and others were like, hey, I'm going to need y'all to chill. I need y'all to chill on these tariffs. You got to understand what y'all about to do. And so all of a sudden, they were like, hey, this ain't going to work. This ain't going to work. Okay, now Jamie Dimon is saying, you know what? It wasn't bad. Things are okay. Why is he saying that? Because they actually forced Trump to back down. But see, so a MAGA fool like Scott Jennings, no. Y'all predicted the economy is going to fall through the floor, and it didn't. Yeah, dumbass, because the tariffs didn't go into place. He announced them, he pulled them back. He announced them, he pulled them back. He announced them, he pulled them back. That's what happened. But see, liars like Scott Jennings never want to talk about that because what they want to do is convince people, oh, no, y'all were the crazy ones. No, we weren't crazy. The fool who you kissed more ass than Melania Trump is the crazy one. So y'all just got to understand how the shell game is all being played. And we're going to always call it out, including people like smug MAGA idiot Scott Jennings, who will do anything to stay in Trump's good graces. Because he used to be a Trump opposer. But it's a lot sweeter financially when you become a Trump grifter. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Scott Jennings. Going to break, we come back. Suicide among young black folks is serious. And we'll talk about why and how do we confront it. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the Gap and Getting Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayoral race, and this progressive wave that has sent such a shockwave through all of New York City and really the rest of the country. Jamal Bowman is going to help us understand what this mayoral election means and how we make sure that it translates across the nation.
Can you imagine national Democrats like identifying themselves as having flavor or riz or swag? Like, absolutely not, right? So hopefully the city does what it can in November to help resurrect this dying party and honestly just resurrect our democracy.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, the rise of mental health struggles among young Black youth is becoming a growing part of everyday conversation, and it could be impacting someone close to you. A recent report from the Acoma Project, a nonprofit focused on supporting the mental health needs of young people of color, reveals some alarming stats. More than 40% of Black youth ages 13 to 17 seriously considered suicide in the past year. 38% reported engaging in self-harm. More than 16% actually attempted suicide at least once. Joining us now is Dr. Tatiana Melendez, a licensed psychotherapist and advocate for youth mental health. Doc, glad to see you again. I reached out to you because... How are you? Doing great. I reached out to you because someone I know, a friend, had to deal with this. She had a relative, and her relative's daughter took her life, 19 years old. And she said she and the family just totally devastated. I know several other folks, the same thing. And so for the longest, there was a huge gap between suicide rates among white youth and Black youth. What the hell happened?
I mean, I think we can look at a few things here. You know, some of the statistics you mentioned, as I kind of did a little bit of my own research just to kind of get an update. You know, it rose, I think, by 144%, which is the sharpest increase across all racial, ethnic groups. And I think when you look at like the contributing factors, there's a lot of things. There's this growing crisis, and despite this historical misconception, the rates have soared. That's just what it is in the last 2 decades. And when you look at systemic inequalities, you have stigma, you have this under resource of mental health infrastructure. It all plays a role. And so I think if we can move into a space where we have culturally responsive peer-led strategies, maybe more community-driven advocacy, accessible crisis support, we can definitely shift the narratives. But if we look back, in the 1990s, suicide was more common in adults. You see it now in young youth, children, and especially Black youth. And so I think with social media is one of the big ones. I dislike it, but it's there, it's out there, and we just have to figure out what we can do with it.
One of the things that that we looked at here, this is the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, says exposure to racism on social media and acute suicide risk in adolescents of color results from an intensive monitoring study. Now, the reason I pulled this up here is because you talked about social media. And I think it's very hard for baby boomers or even Gen X to understand that when we talk about millennials, generation Z, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, you're literally talking about people who were born into a social media world. Mm-hmm. So we can sit here, I see the memes, we talk about, don't mess with nobody in Gen X because they way tougher than you can think because we were latchkey kids. They talk about the rotary phones, the stuff, all the stuff that we dealt with when we were kids. But you're talking about kids who are completely inundated from the moment they are born. You got 2- and 3-year-olds who know how to navigate iPads and who can order stuff from Amazon. So now when you start talking about all the images, whether we're talking about weight and hair and color and race, all these different things, it is a different psychological attack than, frankly, what we had to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll tell you, when I was growing up, I didn't have social media. And so one of the things I made sure I put in place for my daughter, I didn't allow her to watch TV until she was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And social media was definitely off limits. And so I think now with the parents, they lack either the education or the empathy or just real conversations. These parents didn't grow up with the tools. So the emotional and identity related impacts are often just misunderstood or even minimized. So you have these kids, they're looking for the likes, they're looking for the followers. And all this is doing is teaching kids to equate self-worth with validation and all these external approvals. I mean, now my daughter was showing me you have like filters and all these face, application. All that does is just contribute to, now we have body image issues.
Right.
You have, especially for our young girls. And my daughter did at some point, I remember her 9th grade year, because all the girls was on social media and she just started using social media and she thought that she was too thin. And that was an issue for about 6 months. And she's a beautiful girl. However, the girls are being affected. The LGBTQ plus community is being affected along with the youth. But if you have all this, hey, I need to get a like, I need to get the followers, I'm going to change the way I look, that's going to give us another layer of issues. But another thing I looked at too was I noticed like a lot of viral challenges and peer pressure. I mean, these kids today, the whole fear of missing out, FOMO, they feel like they need to do all these different things to fit in. That's creating a bigger issue. The constant scrolling and looking for who's online, who's not, all that does is just reduce attention span and increases anxiety, which isn't really helpful either. You have the DMs, you have the harassment, you have the cyberbullying. All of this leads to depression, isolation, and suicidal thoughts.
Well, you talked about the cyberbullying. So, I mean, look, we all can remember if you were dealing with bullying, you were dealing with bullying between school hours or whether you were on the bus going or coming. Now with social media, you literally have bullying 24 hours a day. And it's not just you and 3 or 4 other people who might be in the class watching. It's literally now thousands upon thousands all around the country or the world.
All day. Yes, that is the issue. The social media applications are available at kids' youth fingertips. All day, they're at school looking at this stuff. So just imagine a kid every day wondering if they have followers. Okay, I don't have any followers today. Maybe people don't like me, they don't see me, I'm not beautiful. Maybe I do need to change my image. And, let me keep up with all the challenges.
And this is not even just, I think people understand, this ain't just kids. You have college coaches,
yes,
high school coaches who are like, get your ass off your phones at halftime. They are, you've had players, even some NFL players, responding to somebody's comment on social media and during a half, like, you playing a professional sport, get your ass off social media. But again, it is such a psychological driver. And like, I love these people, this is real from the MAGA people. Look at that, you're getting ratio. Look at that, you posted and you only got 18 retweets. And I'm like, you gotta be a dumbass to start counting retweets. But again, that's that whole thing. And then, so now imagine it's just constantly coming down on you and it's everywhere. And literally, yes, that phone from the moment they wake up to the moment they sleep. And I know some parents, we've done that, where snatch the phone, no. Phone's in the room.
Yeah.
They're gonna stay right here until it's time to go to school. And it's like crack addicts. It's like,
and this is the space, with social media, when I look at like some of the barriers or things that can actually be done to help with the increase in suicidal ideation, you would think that we would be utilizing or leveraging social media for the good, right? How about we follow and share more of like the positive mental health pages? How can we encourage, the real storytelling and not just highlighting all these reels that are very toxic? And what can we actually do to call out some of this bullying and support kids who are actually struggling online? But this online interaction is very, very toxic. And we're going to continue to see an increase in suicidal ideation, or suicide is going to continue the way it is.
To the folks, if y'all have not seen the Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, folks, watch that. It literally talks about how the algorithm is programmed to do the very thing Dr. Melendez was talking about in terms of, it's like the moment it feeds into it. And so now how you look in your hair and how you talk in your teeth, and I need the fillers and I need this and I need this, and it goes just on and on and on, and it's impacting people right here. And I don't think that we can overestimate just how harmful it is when it's not being controlled. Greg Carr, I want to go to you first. You're a university professor. You see this. You're seeing this in the classroom. And just talk about your experiences in terms of how you've had to navigate this.
Well, Roland, first of all, thank you for having this conversation. And Sister Melendez, thank you for your work and for leading us in this conversation. I can tell you, brother, and I think I can comfortably speak for all of my colleagues, and I know one of them, of course, is right here, Dr. Haynes, Sister Nola. It's been a complete transformation in the classroom. I think COVID accelerated a process that had already started with this technology transfer. But I'll tell you what, though, and maybe this is where I'll stop and I ask you a question about this, Sister Melendez. With the quantum leap past social media to Chat GPT, I have been stunned, even as recently as we just finished summer school at Howard, listening to young people, some of whom have talked about their friends, which I take as a proxy for some of them, using Chat GPT as a therapist, interacting with artificial intelligence as if it's human. And we remember the movie a few years ago, Her, where Scarlett Johansson voiced the artificial intelligence, and this man fell in love basically with himself. But when you compound what happened with the disruption in education, FaceTime, face-to-face with COVID, and the acceleration in the technology and social media, and then you drop that AI in, I I am not surprised by this really disaster that we have seen not only form, because these young people are struggling, and at this point, they're literally talking to themselves and looking for solutions. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say, but I'd be very fascinated. I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say, Sister Liz, about this particular function of AI.
You know, that is so interesting because yes, I do think that COVID-19, there's all these long-term impacts. When we look at like isolation, I do think there was a lot of missed milestones. There was, the grief and family loss. Definitely, even for me, just been a mental health professional, there was a mental health system overload where it literally widened the gap between the need and support. And so this whole AI, it's something that I'm actually learning about. My daughter just was teaching me last week. She was actually asking AI questions and this lady just kept responding. So it is new to me. And I mean, it was anything like, how do I need to tell my friend, that she shouldn't be sleeping unprotected? And it literally gave her a whole narrative of like what she can say. And so for me, this is new. I would be interested in learning more about it. But again, I think it's great. And even though we have that, I do think when we look at Black people in particular, there's still this unique, profound set of obstacles. So we can have the AI, but then there's still the stigma, there's the shame, there's this emotional distress that goes unspoken. And I do think that, we still need to have therapy, because it's one of the things that actually, help. You still have the financial and systemic, barriers that come up, all the high costs. I try to offer low cost therapy as much as possible, but then you have transportation issues. You have a long wait because we can't see everyone, and so I do think the AI is great. I just want to make sure that we're not moving away from like traditional therapy, especially because AI, we don't know how intelligent it is or what they're actually going to be telling clients. And so, I just want to make sure that because there's a culture of mistrust, we want to make sure that, clients are able to trust the mental health system, but we need something that's in place that actually works.
Absolutely. Nola, you're in the classroom as well. So again, what we are seeing young folks today who are experiencing classmates taking their own lives, and they're dealing with, in inner cities, dealing with a level of death that we never ever saw as well. So all of this stuff is compounded. Go right ahead, Nola.
Absolutely. And again, I want to thank you both the way that Greg did for talking about this. Additionally, there's also a lot of awareness that's happening around sex trafficking in the Black community today, actually. So I'm happy that people are talking about these issues that are typically taboo and left in the vault, right? And in the community vault, right? But one of the things that I see in my classroom, my students will pay attention because I still old school lecture, but it's the conversations that you hear when they're settling into class and when they're leaving class. And it typically is some level of insecurity that they're grappling with. And one of the things that this takes me to is the Dahl test and Brown v. Board. And it takes me there because I wonder, is there some way to be able to measure or to be able to kind of like locate, the effects that this is having on young kids before they get to suicide? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there some sort of preventative measure that can happen so we can catch this before the insecurities just grow in so many different directions that there's just nothing left to do because their entire lives are not only recorded, but they're scored. Mm-hmm. I grew up as a zillennial, where men have their score keeping and women, we have our score keeping, but these kids are literally score kept on every facet of their lives. Are there some sort of preventative measures that your community, Dr. Melendez, is talking about to try to help before the suicide part? Is there some sort of social scientific test that can kind of measure some of this to kind of give answers? Those are the things that I'm thinking about.
But it's, when you first meet a client, you complete something called a biopsychosocial, and this really helps locate and prevent suicide. So you're asking the questions to determine early risk factors, right? And once you can locate that root cause analysis if needed, you then implement some preventive strategies to address the root cause of the emotional distress. Because if there's no root cause analysis to see where some of this is stemming from, then we can't really address the issue to even provide the coping skills or mechanisms for them to even be able to function in society. So I think when you're able to locate the insecurity, which are, I guess we can label as maybe the risk factors, these are all warning signs. You see it, the insecurities, the vulnerability to suicide can then actually be detected. So if it's psychological insecurity, is there low self-esteem? Is there hopelessness? Is there chronic self-doubt, which I see a lot of? You have the
Material insecurity.
Yes, perfectionism. I mean, I see kids and adults struggle with perfectionism. I mean, I even had some, struggle with that at some point. But then you have the fear of failure. But then you have social insecurity. You have digital insecurity. There's environmental. So if you're exposed to violence and trauma, that's part of your environment. What you're exposed to, if it's abuse, if it's unstable housing or food, if it's academic or financial stress. So it just depends. If we're looking at digital, then we may be looking at maybe exposure to cyberbullying or harmful online content. So it just depends. And you won't be able to determine that until you actually meet with a client to understand, hey, maybe there's some verbal or behavioral signs. Is this person talking about death? Is this person feeling like maybe they're a burden to another person? And then you'll start seeing those signs, those red flags where this person is withdrawing from another person, they're losing interest in maybe some activities. I mean, you start seeing people give away possessions, they're writing about death. And so it's all about getting them into the room, getting them on the phone, getting them on a call, and talking and having real conversations.
I have a quick follow-up, and I'm getting Roland.
Girl, you know doggone well, Michael is sitting there waiting to ask a question, so you need to wait your turn. No, see, let me teach you something, Nola. You might be all your little foreign policy stuff. So let me explain you how we journalists do it. We say, I have a question and a follow-up.
Well, I did say follow-up.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you did it after the question. Michael, go ahead with your question. Nola gotta wait.
So, Nola, I'll give you some of my time, so I'll be very quick.
No, you can't do that. Only the timekeeper can do that. Go. Ask your question, Michael.
I have 3 sons and a niece that I'm extremely close to. I'm trying to figure out, do you see a difference with the social media with males and females relative to impact? And I asked that in the context of, no, they're not the same age, but I asked that in the context of my niece seemed to have a larger issue after COVID than my sons did. So I was wondering if there's a gender issue both with social media and related to COVID.
With COVID, I saw both male and female. I do think there was, I did see more females. I think with the psychological effects, it was more of the body image issues in comparison. I didn't really see where my males were struggling with the body image because the girls, the women are doing all the filters, the influencers, the unrealistic, standards. I also saw where females, it was more anxiety, more depression, more self-esteem, but they also was experiencing more of the cyberbullying because it had to do with the appearance and maybe social belonging. So it was this like a pretty girl syndrome. Be smart, be beautiful, be kind, be social. I found more of that with the girls. And then, if you did show yourself in a bathing suit, then you had like the slut shaming that followed that. So they're like, okay, let me show myself, let me be beautiful. But then on the back end, it's like you're being sexualized or the slut shaming comes in. And this was happening mainly with my Black and Latina girls. But then you do have the males you know, the humor, the politics, the sports, the debates, it created some engagement, but I also think that it created more exposure to maybe toxic masculinity. It encouraged the guys, hey, I need to be more dominant. And all they were doing was just avoiding the vulnerability part of it. So that risk of maybe emotional suppression, I saw more with males, which then of course led to more aggression. So when these clients would come, it's like, you have all this internalized depression. What is going on here? So I think those are the main two things, male versus female.
Well, I think what you also are dealing with is you also have these expectations. A young lady who I think was Miss USA or Miss America, I forgot, who jumped from a building in New York City, who, I mean, was an amazing lawyer and accomplished, and it was like, it was never enough. And I think when I look at a lot, you have a lot of young folks and like they're just neurotic about because you got folks like, no, you got to get this scholarship, you got to have straight A's, and you got to be perfect at this and this and this and this, and then it's become one after another, and it's an enormous amount of pressure. I remember I was sitting talking to one of my nieces, and she was just like, oh my God, you know, I got to do this at our school. I was like, girl, calm down. I said that shit is a sheet of paper. I said, okay. And it was like this desire to, okay, you know, but you know, magna cum laude, I gotta have straight A's. I was like, let me explain something to you. I said, it's a whole bunch of people I graduated with who had magna cum laude, and I ain't got nothing against that. I said, but they broke as hell right now, and your uncle wasn't no magna cum laude, and trust me, they would switch places with me any day of the week. And I was trying to get her to understand that your success in life is not going to be determined by what you do in that moment. And we've seen this. We've seen young people who are highly accomplished, and it's never enough. And you have parents and others, and it's constant pressure. And no, you got to be great at it. And a lot of times, I'm with some of these parents like, yo, I need y'all to relax. I'm like, y'all, and I just think you have to be very mindful as a parent, as an aunt or an uncle, putting undue pressure on somebody who's 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, whether it's in a classroom or sports, because, again, you are literally affecting that psyche, and everybody is not built the same way. That's for you, Doc.
No, for sure. I think this, you know, the undue pressure on children, adolescents definitely contributes to suicide risk, especially when you have kids feeling overwhelmed or unsupported, or they believe their failure equals worthlessness, you know? And so I've seen it, the academic pressure. You're right, the high expectation. Oh, I have to get the perfect grades. I need to attend the elite schools. I saw with my daughter, she just went through the application process. And even though she has great grades, she's like, hey, this person, or they end up going to this school that was more elite. And I said, hey, look, let's not worry about that. I'm not going to be disappointed. I mean, she applied to, I think, 18 schools and basically got into all of them, but still that chronic stress, that burnout, that anxiety, that feeling, the feelings of failure is all a result of academic pressure, the social pressure, needing to be popular, needing to be liked, needing to be on social media. I need to belong. I need to be in the right friend group. I need this identity click. And so my daughter went to a school where there's a lot of celebrity kids. And I mean, she's not a celebrity kid, but it resulted in possibly, you know, at times, it was mainly early in like maybe her 7th or 8th grade year, there was a little social anxiety. And all of a sudden by her 8th grade year, she said, I don't want to go out for lunch. What do you mean you don't want to go out for lunch? She was sitting in the library. She was isolating. And I'm like, okay, what is it that I need to do? And I definitely didn't want to put the parental pressure, because I do see that where you have parents who are overly involved. They have these unrealistic expectations for their kids. And sometimes it's sports, it's a family reputation.
Oh, especially the sports thing.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
I've seen it. And at her school where she goes, that was huge.
And just sometimes you got to be honest. Your kid can't play.
Right. No.
So just be happy they ass got a uniform. But stop. I'm serious. I just think that I don't know why we sit here and like we don't want to be honest. Some kids can't play sports. just be on the team, run around, do the whole teamwork, but your ass will not be starting.
No, and that was a huge one at her school. But again,
what's wrong, Michael? What?
It was huge.
Like I don't get it. I don't get why we can't be honest. And sometimes, Doc, we gotta tell brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles, I need to sit your ass down. Your kid is. There was a word we used growing up. Let's see if Nola probably don't remember this down in New Orleans. But Michael, I know you and Greg. Do y'all remember the word afflicted?
Afflicted.
Afflicted.
Short for afflicted.
Right. The word was afflicted. We use that word, Doc, for everything. If your kid couldn't dance, if your kid couldn't play sports, your kid is afflicted. Sometimes we just gotta go ahead and let folks know, I think you putting a little too much pressure. That kid is not gonna be great at that. So stop trying to make them something they not, because that's just a level of pressure. Not going.
No, I mean, no, when you look at the psychological consequences with parental pressure, we're creating kids who are being raised dealing with anxiety, they're dealing with the depression, they're constantly feeling like they're a failure, they're dealing with the perfectionism. Any little mistake that these kids are making, they are feeling unloved and disposable. And now what they're doing is dealing with emotional suppression. There's no safe outlet for them to even talk or cry. Why? Because they can't go to their parents, and maybe they may not have insurance to even go talk to a therapist. So now you have suicidal ideation. I'm feeling like death is the only escape from whatever pressure that I'm feeling at this point.
All right, Nola, come on. Make your question quick. A question, not a statement, a question. Not a sermonette, a question.
I did very well in English. Thank you so much for that, for walking me through that.
See,
thank you.
You
so
wasted
much.
time. You do this every time. You try to be petty, and then you waste time. Now, come on, ask your question.
Oh, you mean match your petty? You mean match your petty?
See, you wasting time. Don't let me thank Doc and close this out. Come on
do
now.
What you want to do.
Ask your
do
question.
What you want to do. My question is everything that you just said about cost and availability and all these things. I guess what I'm trying to get at is there some larger social test that can be constructed like the doll test? If to be able to catch this in other ways outside of students, coming to an office, considering everything that's being rolled back, with insurance is going to be more expensive, like all the things that are happening. I'm just trying to figure out what could possibly be a social, cultural way to be able to catch this. If you don't have the money to pay you, or the time, or the availability. I'm just curious, is there something out there? Is there a tool out there that already exists like that?
I mean, outside of your digital and clinical risk screening tools that a lot of therapists and psychologists use, you have your PHQ-9, which looks at suicide risk, and it's used for depression, suicidal ideation. And it's online. People can go and check and say, okay, here's a free screening tool for me to be able to use. But there isn't anything else that's really free. There's a lot of, they have all these quizzes and tests that you can take. I mean, I'm in the process of actually building an application that will be done real soon here. And it's basically, yes, mental health services at your fingertips, where you can sign in and be able to speak to a therapist. You can participate in live conversations about different mental health concerns or issues. So that's in the making. So there's different strengths.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, you have the SVQ, I think, which looks at, it's short, it's a few questions. But I will tell you the challenge that I'm seeing. I was just working with a group of kids. They can't read. So even if they self-administer this test for themselves, you give it to them and say, hey, answer these questions, these kids could not read.
Hell no.
So I had to have someone reach out to these kids, actually ask the questions every 2 weeks to keep up with where they are with their emotions and feelings. So that's an issue in the Black and brown community. It's huge. They cannot read, but they on social media. They're on social media. So.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it has nothing to do with this particular issue, but my greatest fundamental issue that I have with 2 or 3 generations is the inability to think. And I think part of this thing, Doc, as you were talking about, how do we communicate? I think there's so many people who are parents who want to give the answer, where I'm a firm believer, no, I'm gonna need you to think your way through this. I'm gonna need you to be able to express yourself and talk, but think. And I think thinking and processing are 2 of the greatest problems that we have today. And so when you're having these conversations, they literally can't even articulate what the issues are because we have not created spaces to force them to think.
Yeah.
And process. And that just to me, and I think we see it in classrooms. I see it all the time. Right interns think.
Putting them on blast.
What? Oh, they are all 5 of them know. Yeah. Oh, they know. They know. Oh, trust me. Oh, trust me. They know. Again, so we have think sessions. I ain't giving you the answer. You got to think. But again, this is something that, for me, I did this with my nieces when they were early. No, I'm not giving you the answer.
Yeah,
I'm not.
You know, but when we're talking about the Black and brown community, a lot of these kids or youth or young adults can't think because their parents can't think. And when you look at the causes to inability to think, these parents are under a lot of chronic stress. They're dealing with depression and anxiety. There's even what I'm seeing, undiagnosed learning differences.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, their trauma responses freeze, disassociate. So no, they're not thinking. There's a cognitive fog. There's a mental shutdown. There's disorganized thoughts. So how are they going to teach their children to think when these parents can't think, but they're the same parents that either is either negative or positive, overpressure to perform. Yep. The invalidation part that comes with, hey, telling your kids, hey, get over it, or you're being dramatic. You know, there's no room for failure. I'm quick to tell my daughter, it's okay if you fail, but what we gonna do about it to recover? A lot of these parents, because they are stressed, they're creating adults who are emotionally unavailable. Why? Because their parents are unavailable. Parents aren't listening. They're distracted. They're dismissive. The parents are on social media. Then you have just the toxic criticism. I hear so many parents, they're yelling, they're cussing. I'm going to threaten you with punishment. That didn't go on in my household. I did really well with my kids. So when I look at her and I look at some of the kids that may come to our practice, or when I talk to parents to kind of walk them through things, I'm like, you guys aren't even talking about mental health. They're ignoring the signs and refusing help. It's like, what are we doing here?
Indeed, indeed. Doc, what's your website if people want to reach out to you?
ttmcounseling.com.
All right. Dr. Tatiana Melendez, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, last issue here real quick. I just saw this on social media, and I had to go ahead and play this here. And it's the perfect way to end the show with Samuel L. Jackson.
Motherfucking wind farms. Loud, ugly, harmful to nature. Who says that? These giants are standing tall against fossil fuels, rising up out of the ocean like a middle finger to CO2. Deep beneath the waves, they can become artificial reefs, creating habitats for sea life to grow. These are wind farm seaweed snacks made with seaweed grown at a Vattenfall wind farm. Serious gourmet shit. So, what's it gonna be? Motherfucking wind farms or motherfucking wind farms?
Oh, man, there you go right there. So now that's selling a product. We ain't selling a product, but, you know, anytime you get Samuel M.F. Jackson, you got to go ahead and just play it. All right, y'all, that's it. We got to bounce tomorrow. Got a great special edition of the show. We're going to have 2 fantastic book interviews. Ellie Mitchell talks about his particular new book, about some new laws that should be written. And the second is going to be a book author talking about the group of black paramedics in America. The first paramedics in America, African American out of Pittsburgh. You don't want to miss those 2 conversations. All right, folks, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. This is how you can support us. Join our Bring the Funk fan club, Cash App. Use a Stripe QR code right here. Check that out. Of course, you can use that for credit card applications, credit card sales as well. Check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Also, of course, get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. You can check it out there as well. Then, of course, if you want to get our black-owned products, support them by go to our marketplace at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Also, if you want to download the app Fanbase, do so by going to App Store, the Google Play Store. And if you want to invest, go to startengine.com/Fanbase. Folks, that is it. I'll see you tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!